Let's review how algebra sneaks its way into our geometry. Some of the key words to look for are midpoint and bisector and complementary and supplementary. Those are all some key words to look for. So if you see midpoint, we know that midpoint means that has split the segment into two equal pieces. We can say that those two pieces are equal to one another, and in fact that's how you set up those equations. When you see the word midpoint, you set them equal to each other. Same thing with a segment bisector or an angle bisector. Down here I have an angle bisector, which means that this ray has split that angle into two congruent pieces, swoop, swoop, and so we would say that those two angles are equal to each other. So that's the setup whenever we have something that's split into two equal pieces. Now these other two examples, do you see how they've given us the total length? And down here they've given us the total angle measure. Whenever you have a total, you should think, okay, a total means I've added up some things. And so this would be almost like a segment addition postulate, right? If I take this length plus this length, the total length will be 22. So the setup for this one would be 5x added to the length x plus 4. And those two lengths together should total 22. So there's your setup there. On this angle one down here, it kind of looks like those angles are congruent, but we should not assume that. So I see that the total angle measure is 70 for both of those combined. That's talking about that angle addition postulate, where we take those two angles added together. Those two measures added together should equal 70 degrees total. You'll see this sort of situation show up when we're talking about complementary angles or supplementary angles. The only difference there is for complementary, we'd have two angles adding up to equal 90, and two angles adding up for supplementary to equal 180. So those are kind of some tips for how we set up those equations. I'm going to go on now and solve those equations if you'd like to keep watching. Some of us could use a little more review on our algebra. So remember where that equal sign lies, that's where we draw the line. I need to move things across the equal sign, so I'm going to combine the x's by subtracting an x off this side, subtracting off the other side as well. 4x's minus 1x makes 3x's. Over here, all I have left is the 5. Now, to cancel out a minus 1, I will add 1. 5 plus 1 is 6. Finally, 3 times x, so I will divide by 3 to get the x by itself. X equals 2. Always a great idea to go back to the picture and plug that in. 4 times 2 minus 1, 2 plus 5. And what do I get? I get a 7 here, and I get a 7 here. Why is that a good sign? Because it said midpoint. Those should have been equal lengths. This next one, the equal sign is right there, and actually I have all these x's already on the same side, so what I need to do is combine like terms. 5x's plus another x would make 6x. Plus 4, get rid of that by subtracting 4. Finally, 6 times x, so I would divide by 6 to get the x by itself. And I'm getting x equals 3. I go back and I plug that in. 5 times 3, 3 plus 4. This time I get a 7 and a 15, but I wasn't expecting those to be equal, was I? I was just expecting their total to be 22. And it looks like that diagram was not drawn to scale. That shouldn't bother me. If the total is 22, I win. On this bisector one, it looks like the x's are on different sides, so I'll want to bring one of them to the other side by subtracting 7x. add 10, and finally divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 5. Always want to plug those in to the picture to see what kind of answers I get. Up here I'm getting 40 degrees, and here I'm getting 40 degrees. Was I expecting to see that? Yes, because that was a bisector. Okay, on this last one, it didn't add up to 90. It didn't say they were complementary. It added up to 70. On these addition ones, often you're going to have to combine like terms because those x's are already on the same side. So 3x's plus 2x's makes 5x's. And here I have a plus 10 and a plus 10, which altogether makes a plus 20. I would subtract 20 from both sides. And finally divide both sides by 5. And that gives me x equals 10. Back to the picture. 3 times 10 plus 10, and 2 times 10 plus 10. And my answers are 40 degrees and 30 degrees. So those don't match, which is fine because I was looking for those to add up to 70, and they do. I hope that helps.